All right, everybody, and all right, let me begin. So today, I'll be moderating this session, and we have all our esteemed panelists over here. And we have Shiv sir. We usually call him Dr. Shiv. Dr. Shiv, we usually call him Shiv sir, so that's how we address him. So that's how naturally we call that. We have Sreela ma'am, but Sreela is principal, and then we have Mr. Philip, who recently joined, has been part of the TIPS family now. Has recently we have the partnership, and then we have Mr. Deepak Kaitan, who is this. But before I just want to formally introduce. I just want to say everybody that today we are here to discuss about how international schools, with providing international curriculum, still are providing students are competent enough to be grounded within their local culture. So we have four panelists over here who live this balance every day. Now we see exponentially or intentionally many schools are turning into providing international curriculum to have students towards global citizenship, a global curriculum and exposure towards those analytical thinking. But then today we are here to discuss how we can still make them be rooted to their local culture, to their local roots, because that's where I believe the identity and the well-being also begins with. So today, I would like to introduce the four panelists whom we have with us. First is Dr. Shiv. Dr. Shiv is the managing director at the Indian Public School. So he started this international schools almost like 15 years back. We have the IB school and in Erode, that is called in the name of Indian Public School. And we have now three campuses, that is Trichy, Salem, and Erode, which he's the managing director. He's heading it. He led it from the front, the school from building to what it is now, extending the campuses and leading it there. So he's one person who has, built those international campuses. The next we have Mr. Deepak Khaitan. He's the founder of Sunshine World School, the first school, CBSE school in Goa. And then he is currently the only IB school, the only school which provides IB curriculum in Goa. So that's another school. He's the founder. Welcome, sir. And the school, he has a decade of, I think, almost 2 decades. The school, it was the first CBSE school. And I think, if I'm not wrong, around 2020, it became the first ever school, IB school in Goa, the Sunshine World School. And we had the opportunity of, during the school student exchange, to visit that school, to be with that school, and to experience that school with us. So thank you, sir, for having, with us today. Next is Mr. Philip Rajan. Recently, TIPS School has been associated with International School Partnership. Philip, sir, is regional head for India region for all the ISP schools. So within India, we have 7 schools. So he is the one who heads that, and he has a educational and 2-decade-long background at, Pearson, and if I have to look back, is Pearson and Education, where he supported them, as well as he's a board member within that, and then he joined ISP School in November 2022, and he's a regional managing director. So his role is basically, along with his team, responsible for increasing the ISP footprint in India and enabling school to become the better version of themselves. And then recently, we have been associated with Philip sir and ISP with TIPS. If you see, many a times now we have recently changed. And then next we have Sreela ma'am. She's the principal of Indian Public School Trichy campus. More than 2 years of an educator, now a leader. She, carries that legacy of being an educator. She always says, I'm an educator by choice and with unwavering passion towards teaching and nurturing kids. And now she's a leader, and she has made, so much of difference from over the experience, so much of difference. She's got a lot of awards recently, and we want to congratulate ma'am for that. And she has awards back. So she is one person as a principal of the school who runs 2 international, again, curriculum with IB, PYP, and Cambridge, and leading that in Trichy for us. So now we have this as a panelist in the background, where today we are discussing that all of us are exposed or are, into the curriculum design and decision making towards international curriculum, that whether it is IB or whether it is Cambridge. But how important today we're going to be discussing is how still we are culturally rooted to how can we have that culturally rooted, the roots of the Indian culture, the roots of the local culture that doesn't get fade away in the process of providing that international curriculum. Is today we're going to discuss that and have a discussion around it. So the very first question I would like to have for Shiv sir is 15 years back in a region, which is like what we call it as Congo Belt, in a region which is a two-tier city in Erode, where there were no international schools. We only had a CBSE school. And what made you think that to have an international school to be built up? What was your thought process, providing that international school? And what was the reason behind starting an international school? So can you hear me?
Tannu, sorry, I was losing you in between. Can you just repeat the question again? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So 15 years back, we are in Erode. It's a two-tier city. It's a city which around farming, a city with a Congo belt. We had CBSE schools, some schools over here. 15 years back, we are the only school providing IB over here. We were the first school to start Cambridge also over here. What made you think 15 years back to offer or start an international curriculum school within this belt?
Yeah. Thank you, Tanu. Thank you for the introduction. And I would like to welcome all the panelists and as well as the participants for this TLRI Learning Edge. So we started, you all, like Tanu, you know that we started our IB Cambridge school in 2011. And at that particular point of time, we were one of the leading CBSE schools in Erode. And we started our CBSE campus in 2004. And at that particular point of time, we were the first to start a CBSE school in Erode. And at that particular time, matriculation boards were really doing good and were more aligned with matriculation and state curriculum. We started in 2004 as a first entrant. And 2010 is when we decided to start an international campus. Because I have been visiting a lot of schools abroad, as well as in India, in tier one cities. And I was really fascinated by the way the students were learning and the education being taught in those schools. So what I did was I personally attended the Cat 1 workshops initially. Uh, you know that you were at that particular point of time. So I attended my Cat 1 workshops, learned about IB completely. So visited these schools, and I firmly believed the education should be in this particular way, because the kind of education I went through during my school days were not much different from what a CBC school is offering, and was offering, I would say, was offering at that particular point of time. I still found CBSE as a pretty refined version of the matriculation boards, where the instruction was, say, always from the facilitator and the students, I would say the teacher, and the students were just listeners inside the classroom. And the learning capacity of the student completely depended on two factors. One, the quality of the teacher, and two, the attentiveness and the ability of the child. Okay, so I found that to be found that as a big lacuna.
I'm sorry, sir. We are missing, I think this. All right. I hope sir will come back. I just want to, okay, let's continue with this till the time sir comes back. I have another question for Deepak sir. Basically, what I want to ask you is, you started as a CBSE school, and then you turned your primary years as your PYP school. So, like, and then the IB PYP, which is an international curriculum, and then continuum to a CBSE school, which is like further. This is how the whole thing in your school looks like. So, my question, and like, I want to discuss like what is the philosophy behind this blended kind of an approach when you have international and then
Oh,
Saras?
oh, yeah. Sorry, Tanu. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was some issues with my internet. Yeah. So that's when we started our IB Cambridge in 2010-11, and we were pretty circumspect about starting it because we had our own challenges when we started CBSE. Because being a tier three city, like we all know that, okay, so it's very hard to make a parent buy our points, right? So we did a lot of orientation. And the fortunate thing is like we had a pretty good CBSE strength. We had about close to about 1,500 students at that particular point of time. And they happened to be the core group, right? So we did a lot of orientations with the parent community. And so we found them quite fascinated and interested about how the children learn in a classroom. And then we also did some orientations outside to the general public. So at that particular point of time, like we didn't have so many online platforms. We did a lot of physical orientations as well. And I vaguely remember that we started with around 250 students, which is a pretty big strength for an IB school or an IB aspirational school at that particular
Aspirations.
point of time. And that's when like we started, and the growth shows, right? Like now we are close to about 1,000 kids, and that too in a tier three city, a parent affording to pay about 3-4 lakh fee per annum. So that means like it has actually reached the people, and they're able to, and the parents are able to actually see a difference in the children, in the way they learn and the confidence that they carry within themselves. So it was a gamble, I would say. Okay, like a gamble when we started CBSE. Okay, a blind trust and an instinct. Okay, so but in both the cases it paid off, and now I'm so happy that the IB programs across all our campuses are so successful, and that motivated me to start IB program in Salem as well as Trichy, which is no way different from the from Erode in terms of the community or the cultural identity. I don't see much of difference in these cities as well when compared to Erode, and it's doing good in these areas also. That means like somewhere the parents were not liking the present or the past education at that particular point of time. They were always looking for something better, not in terms of infrastructure, but in terms of student engagement and learning. And fortunately, we were able to tap it and get into it. And that's it, Tanu. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And I completely believe because we have traveled together from that time till this time, and we have seen that incremental and exponential support and trust by the parent community within us, not losing out the very old. Because if you see, most of the teachers over here are local teachers, but then we were still able to give that global curriculum, which we call the IBPYP curriculum and the Cambridge. So that's how we are trying to. That's what like sir is intending. And yes, we were all local people doing it. Deepak sir, I'm sorry, like I come back to you again now because of this. I was quite fascinated when I saw like you're the first school PYP, IB school, the first school, as sir as was also proudly stating, you're the first school with the CBS, you're the first school with the IBPYP, and still you are the only school, I think, in Goa which provides the IBPYP curriculum. And then, so I'm like, want to know what guided your philosophy in creating this blended, the thing, you have a PYP and then followed by a continuum of CBSE. So how do you bring about that? And I also love the way everybody greets over there in Sunshine. They always call us namaste and they call us parivar, and everything is so culturally rooted there. Sir, you're on mute. Okay. Once again, I'll help you. Yeah, you have to unmute. Yes, sir. I'm unable to hear you, sir. I'm sorry, sir, I'm unable to hear you. Mm, um, sir, yeah, okay. I'm unable to hear Deepak, sir. I think from his end. Yeah. So, okay, till the time Deepak sir gets his, the thing correct, I'll move to Philip sir. We have recently in tie-up with, as we said, we are recently in tie-up with ISP, and ISP have almost around 7 schools. They are associated with, from Santa Maria to Manthan to CS Academy, and the 4 schools of TIPS is like the 7 schools. That's the footprint currently in ISP. And then Philip sir, I wanted to know, you interact with so many schools. So leadership team across, from Hyderabad 2 schools to Coimbatore 1 school to here to Trichy to Salem to, you're moving around with campuses, and you're moving around with things, in a diverse culture. Like if you see India is a diverse culture where I would say every 250 to 300 kilometers, you move north, south, east, or west, either the dialect will change, or the language will change, or some tradition will change, or the culture will change. And with that, you are associated with 7 schools within the India range. So, my question is basically, sir, I want to understand is like, how does ISP support its campuses? ISP supported campuses in maintaining the consistency of the global vision while allowing that, that local flexibility is what I want to, discuss with you this.
Thank you very much for first having me on the panel, Dr. Shiv and Tannu. Yeah. And the more exciting part is the discussion headline that we are having today, right? Let me rewind and tell you that this is exactly the reason why I joined ISP.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, Delving directly into your point, Tanu, first thing is that what I like is our philosophy, right? If you notice, as you rightly said, we do not partner with schools and then brand everything as an ISP school, right? We
Yeah.
partner with schools with a clear purpose.
Yes.
We provide a suite of offering, right? International best practices, which the school can take at the right time for each campus, for each school, to make themselves a better version of themselves,
Right.
right? So what we do is all about continuous improvement. Yeah. To give you an example, I'm sure most of you would be aware of the International Learning Opportunities for Students program, which is one of the things that ISP does, right? Delving specifically into that, students get to, we have something called the ISP Scientist, which is one of the programs under ILOS, right? Gives students a wonderful opportunity to showcase projects which are culturally rooted, but pitching it as a best practice for the global colleagues in different countries to learn, right? To be more specific, there's something called a virtual buddy program in ISP under the International Learning Opportunities. What does this do? This creates a very safe environment and a controlled platform for a child in Erode or Salem or Trichy to partner with a child of the same age group in a school in Spain or Portugal or France, right? To share and learn culture, right? Lifestyle, whatever, right? It's a very structured 6-layer program, age appropriate, right? So all of that ISP does is provide a suite of things which the school adapts to the local culture and heritage,
Yes.
but draws upon global best practices, right?
Yes.
So we're exactly in the first year of partnership. Dr. Shiv, if you remember, I came and saw you on 29th November last year, right? Officially. Unofficially, we've met. Yeah. We're in the first year of partnership. And if you look at it, a lot of these programs are now starting to get into the various campuses of TIPS, right? Um, I know Sreela ma'am, correct me if I'm wrong. I think about each of the schools are doing about 4 different ILOS programs beginning June this year, right? Which does exactly what you're talking about, right? Giving children an opportunity to stay rooted in their local heritage and culture,
Yes.
right? Showcasing that globally, feeling proud about it, as well as learning an international culture. So, what does this do? You stay grounded, but at the same time, you learn different cultures, you take the best practices, right? And you stay competitive in a global environment, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. I mean, this is so powerful that I think what really lies is, how much you're safe and you feel belonging. Your belongingness is so very important, as you correctly stated that, how safe you feel wherever you are, that well-being and that identity which is connected to you, and then how much pride you take to represent it is what is coming into picture and how rightfully you have put together. And then there's a structured program which can really help us to do that along with ISP. That's wonderful, Mr. Philip, for sharing with us and giving us that picture to it. And thank you so much.
Welcome.
Yeah. I hope now Deepak sir is your, will we be able to, you'll be, right? I'm sorry, sir, I'm not able to hear you clearly yet. I'm sorry, the voice. He's already unmute, but I'm unable to hear him from his end.
Maybe
Okay.
Tannu sir can connect from a different device. Sometimes there might be issues with
Yeah,
connecting Teams from a
yeah,
particular device. Yeah, so maybe probably sir can connect from a different device. That should help. Maybe we can give it a
yeah.
try.
Yes, I can. Yeah. So 1 second, I will just 1 second. All right. Till the time we get Deepak sir on board, I will just move to Sreela ma'am. Sreela ma'am, she has an educational background from Jodhpur, Bodhi school, and then now with us in Dev. So like from north, now she's traveling down to south, and she has coming from a background of Kerala, and then and she can speak fluently various languages and things like that. So then already very culturally rooted. And if you have met Sreela ma'am before, you will always see that she's so grounded and culturally rooted in whatever she does in her school and whatever she does. So then, so Sreela ma'am, I just want to know or want to discuss with you is like, uh, when you just think, you are a principal towards IB program and you are a principal for this. How do you make sure within the school, within the classroom, practices, when we have inquiry with IBP, YP, and you have skill-based, skill-based learning when it comes to your Cambridge program, which is content driven. How do you make sure that the cultural identity and competency is maintained, within the curriculum setup when we have within the school?
A very good afternoon to all the panelists and all the audience there. Thank you so much, Tannu, for that introduction and for making me a co-panelist with all those esteemed members, those who have kind of like years and years of experience. So, yeah, greetings to all the audience too, and thank you for the question. So, I would like to start saying that we, as all those educators, those who are dealing with children, basically we are storytellers. So linking inquiry, implementing inquiry or skill-based curricula into whether it is international or local to our own learning setup is all a part of and part and parcel of educators' daily life, actually. So we basically start with training our teachers well enough to understand what are the global standards, what we need to acquire and implement inside the classroom. But at the same time, we train them by sitting together, collaborating and sharing our own stories to understand that we all have a global touch, but we all have a local perspective to add on to that. So, as you rightly said, I myself have got, I mean, I'm blessed with the experiences of growing up in Kerala, taking that back in 21 years to Jodhpur, and then again having 22 years of teaching experience in North. So, coming back to Tamil Nadu now, within 1 year, I kind of learned the local, the traditional values, the need of the city. So all these experiences are there with every teacher whom we see inside the school setup actually. So everybody, some might have had their learning in different countries, joined back to the city, might have traveled across. So they all come with varied experiences, and this help to link the global curriculum inside the classrooms and to make it a story environment for every child to be nurtured. So inquiry starts from finding out the stories behind. So without losing the cultural lessons, the traditional lessons, teachers can do that if we implement strategical practices inside. So that happens through collaboration, nurturing storytelling inside the classroom, training quite often, sitting together as educators, we sitting together quite often and discussing where are we and how we need to take it further. And now with ISP, we are again blessed with platforms where handholdings are happening through different agencies. So all these actually enable us to balance implementing global skills, but without losing the local traditional, setup.
Thank you so much, Sheila ma'am. And, that's very, very rightly said that, when I say, we are storytellers, we are story narrators, and then our stories are connected to us, who we are as a person. And so when we go back to that, who we are is all very connected to from where we are. So that I think that is what it amplifies and that is what it reflects in our everyday classroom. So that's what we are talking about. How do we provide that curriculum and still make our students as ambassadors of their own culture, which is globally thinkers and analytical thinkers is what we are looking into picture. We still have some difficulty in getting Mr. Deepak on board. Till the time we get Deepak on board, I'll
Namaste.
just, yes, sir, I can hear
Can
you.
you-
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Deepak, sir. Thank you so much. Finally, we are back on track with you. Deepak, sir. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, sir. Deepak, sir. So the question is like, okay, finally we are back. My thing was, I was very fascinated when I was reading and when I was talking to
Yeah.
Patricia, ma'am, about you being the only school. And so what is the reason, of thought process first to have that school and then the blended philosophy of having the PYP and then followed by a national curriculum, and how do you maintain that culturalism in Goa, because Goa is a multicultural, Portuguese, Indian, and you have so much of tourism, and then all those mixed culture, and how do you try to put this all together?
Great. So when we started the school, we were already into a philosophically driven school, and we wanted to do some kind of things which are beneficial to the students, not only in the Indian context but globally. And when we started all this, it was uh, the thought process was Indian curriculum, a CBSE or an ICSE curriculum, not an international curriculum, but the practices were international. So we always wanted that our own curriculum should be strong. So we were working on the inquiry cycle, inquiry project right from 2003 when we started the school, though we were not an IB school. In 2011, we finally got affiliated to IB. But before that, as Shivkumar was saying, they were at Cambridge in 2010-11. We also took Cambridge in 9 and 10. 2 years when Mr. Vinayak was there, we took Cambridge that time. And we ran Cambridge, but probably the Goa was not ready at that time for Cambridge. So finally, we left it and we got into CBSE. And CBSE was really progressing well in those days. They had a lot of new initiatives and they were a very open-minded with leadership of Mr. Vinit Joshi. They were actually doing very well, and they had open book exams. They had PSA, problem solving analysis. They had ASLs, assessment of speaking and learning, listening. They were like home board. It was absolutely international standard, and In 2017, suddenly they took a U-turn. They said that the Indian systems are not ready or Indian climate is not ready to accept all this, and we would go back to the traditional rote learning way, which sadly the Britishers had left us with, to become clerks, and we are still following that. I'm very, very against that, that we are following what we are not required. But everyone listens to the board, not we people, not educationists. They feel what the board wants to prepare the children for, because they test them for examination. So they should listen to them, not us. That's why I said it's not right. And that is the time 2017, firstly, I went to uh, for a training myself, for IB training myself with Patricia, of course. Both of us went, though we were not authorized. We were not even a candidacy school that time, but we went for a training. We took some trainings. 2 years we prepared. 2019 we applied for candidacy, and 2020 we got authorized. That was only because CBSE was not moving in the direction that we expected. We are actually culturally rooted. We want our Indian systems, what we were 1,000 years ago when we were not invaded by the Mughals or the Britishers. What education system was when we talk about Nalanda or Indraprastha University. We had everything. I started in 2004 abacus training, and believe me, abacus was initiated in India, but formalized education was done in China and Malaysia. And we are taking from them and learning. Irony of the whole thing, our country was made by the Britishers so closed and so sick, the education system, that we couldn't make everything in systems, and we had to just follow what the West was saying. Still, we are in the mental colonial mindset, which we have to get out of it. I always say a foreign student at the age of 14, he may not be able to read and write properly, but he has the guts to give you and me a job. They're very smart. That is what this education system trains them to be. And our children, on the contrary, they may be 90%, but they are very good at working for somebody. They don't want to create anything themselves. So it's a very, very contradictory situation. We have to be rooted. We have to do whatever we feel is right for our country, not just follow what Britishers left us with. So that's why we started IB. And that is why we have to continue with CBSE, because we transform the whole PYP section, the whole primary section, into PYP, which means we did have a different fee structure. We are still running, Shivkumar ji would relate to this, we are still running a IB program at 1.5 lakhs a year. So it's an economical fee structure that we are working on, because we wanted to give it to everyone. We said no, nothing doing, and all the parents were very easily transformed into our PYP program, because the practices were the same that we were doing as a CBSE school also. So there were no change in the practices except for some curriculum which has come into, but practices were almost the same.
That's
Hope that
wonderful.
answers the question.
Yes, it does, and that's wonderful. How you've been reflective, and how rooted you are with this our own Gurukul system and the cultural system, and you're trying to keep that system in place, because that's what we have heard about. When our students went to your school and they were saying, ma'am, they were students were reflecting, how the thing is, what experiences they had over there within the school, the whole environment and the culture was very much they could connect and relate to, and they were even the teachers were sharing with this. So there's yes, it very much shares, what you're sharing, it's colonialism, and yes, so it's all taking pride, as I was talking, like it's important to take pride, important to feel belonged, and important to be understanding what is the root behind it. Is we are trying to push that as through education. Education is not about just, and when I say analytical thinking, it is also about thinking and analysis. Even the culture provides that analysis, analytical thinking here. So let's move on to the next. With this continuation, I would just move to Shiv sir again to ask him, as everybody we have rightly said, and how difficult it's a school now when we are here, and we have teachers from, teachers from North, teachers from our local now, and we have influx of teachers from different type of culture. Now, how can, or what are the intentional systems or practices has, tips made within the school that we ensure that the local competencies and global expectations is not fading away and we are still on par with it, within the school, and because we have now teachers with different cultural backgrounds who are coming in and being part of the school, who may not understand the local context, to a lot of or may take a longer time to do so. So what are the systems and things we have placed and things so that we still make sure that we are still at par with providing those global competencies which is expected, but yet we are not fading out with our, the local requirements and the rootedness, sir. Shiv, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So as you said, like we have teachers coming from different cultural background, right? North, south, east, and west. Predominantly, they are from our region, right? So I always believe that uh, uh, the knowledge component or the knowledge transfer is no way better because a teacher comes from a different cultural background. Okay, so I always believe they might bring in say a different perspective, cultural diversity, but I don't think, okay, the knowledge transfer that is happening to the children or the knowledge the child is going to gain because of someone coming from abroad or someone coming from uh, the north, east, or west is not going to be anyway different or anyway more than what the local teachers can provide. Because that's what I have experienced over so many years. And all that is required is they might come from anywhere. So all that is required is they should be trained already, or we have to put them into a strong training system. Okay, and we always believe that, okay, anybody who's young, energetic, open to learning, unlearn and relearn. Okay, so those people obviously fare well than teachers who have so many years of experience teaching in different boards and curriculums and coming to our school. And that is what I have experienced over so many years. And another thing, people who are culturally rooted to your region tend to stick longer with you, and so our data also shows that, okay, longer with the institution rather than people coming from a different cultural background. Okay, there might be so many reasons for it, right? Like this, they might be comfortable in the school. Okay, they might not feel different in the school because the school takes care of them really well in terms of providing quality accommodation, education for their kids, support system, everything is there. The problem is social life when it comes to a tier 2, 3 city, like I would say tier 3, 4 city, the social life is almost nil. Okay, maximum you can go to a theater and watch movie. So that's what you can do, right? So, and because of that, uh, ensuring that the teachers stay with us for a longer time is something which is becoming really challenging because that is nothing to do with the school. It is more to do with the culture of the community or the environment or the infrastructure of that particular place or the city. So we always believe in identifying the local talent, okay, your local regional talent, grooming them, making them good IB or a Cambridge facilitator through IB or Cambridge authorized workshops, as well as the school should have a strong internal training system as well, because we expect the students to learn 8 hours a day about, so I would say at least 9 periods a day and 45 periods a week. And the teacher hardly spends an hour of learning every week. Okay, so they're just delivering what they've learned over a period of time inside the classroom, which doesn't happen in an IB classroom. We all know that, right? In an IB classroom, the teachers have to be the first learners. So that's the beauty of this program. Since that's what I believe, like the school has to have a very strong training system and a training community for that to happen, to ensure that the local talent are up to the international level, one. Second, so in that way, we can retain our employees, and they tend to stick on with us for a pretty long time. And finally, they might also get an opportunity to move up the ladder in a leadership role as well. So, and that is something that I've observed over a period of years. And another thing is like, yes, like though they come from abroad or any different background, different cultures, I think we always ensure that Indian case studies, literatures, historical perspectives are being embedded within our IB Cambridge framework. For example, like I can quote an example where you can use Indian independence movement when teaching decolonization in Cambridge IGCSE. Okay, and similarly, you can connect the global concepts with local contexts. For example, like you can teach about Tamil Nadu agricultural issues due to water scarcity and link it with the concept of water resources and also to the SDGs. Okay, sorry, I lost you. So, and also you can relate it to the SDGs as well. And so in a lot of ways, like you can.
I guess we lost here. Yeah, okay. Till the time sir comes back, we are having a lot of but that's part of it. The life, the show must go on, as we rightly say. So I'm going to move to okay. Till the time sir comes back, I will just move to Philip, sir. We are talking so much about okay. Sir was talking about teachers. Sir was talking about data, and sir was talking about the impact and things. And I think these words, I'm really listening a lot of time, with connection with ISP now. We are getting used to these words of impact, visibility, data, evidences. Is like, how, ISP is usually working along with this. And then we are also trying to get used to this measuring and data-driven decision making is what I'm trying to put into the context over here is. So I'm like curious to know, and I want to know like, what metric support or what metric indicators, can school leaders use to measure whether, cultural rootedness is actually happening on campus? Because when I association with ISPs is every much is so much data, information and evidences and pulling together to and then make decisions. So I'm looking, for what can be those metric indicators, which we can look into so that, the cultural rootedness and that impact is shown.
Interesting question. Yeah, while we talk about data and evidence and all of that, right, I would want to touch upon what we call as the ISP learning framework, right? I'm sure you all know that this is trademarked by ISP, right? And it is our USP, right? However, the learning framework is not an Einstein moment of somebody in ISP with which it came up with, right? It's a simple continuous improvement framework, right? Just touching upon, I'm sure a lot of people here would relate to is that there's this commentator called Harsha Bhogle. Yeah. He's a marketing guy, and I am and all of that. He wrote this beautiful book called Winning Ways, right? And in Winning Ways, if you look at it, he's put a beautiful wheel of what a winning team does, right? The winning team practices,
Okay.
which is delivery in the classroom. Which is your preparation for delivery in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
The winning team performs, which is delivery in your classroom, right?
Right.
They analyze, which is peer analysis, expert analysis, which is your learning visits, which is peer visits, your coordinator visits, and all of that, right?
Yes.
And then they come back and look at areas of improvement, go back and practice.
All right. Yes.
And then they come back and deliver again. So this wheel keeps going on. right? So in this wheel, if you ask me, what is the evidence of success is that are we improving every day? Right now, how are we improving every day? Are children engaged?
All right.
Right. We talk about in the ISP learning framework. We talk about good struggles and bad struggles.
Yes.
Right. Are they having a good struggle?
Right.
Is learning happening beyond the classroom?
Right.
Are subjects and concepts being discussed at home
Correct.
with parents? Are parents involved in learning? We as educators get a very short window of the time that the child is awake with us,
Yes. True.
right? 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m.
Yes.
But if the family is not involved in learning,
Yeah. As a
we can do
school.
whatever, it'll go back and it will not have the impact, right? So the beautiful thing of the way we are structured is that I would encourage that if teachers can relate concepts to what the children can go back and discuss at home.
Right. Absolutely.
Speaking on social studies or commerce and economics, can we draw examples from the textile industry in Erode? Yeah.
Right.
Would that be something that they could go and say, okay, I discussed this today, this is what my teacher said, and then the parent also has a contribution of, yeah, that's right or wrong, as an opinion, and the discussion starts. So in my view, the measure of success is how involved is the family in the child's learning,
Okay.
how involved is the child in learning,
Right.
right? And all of that shows up in how strong the child is in concepts.
Absolutely. I think you have put it well together. It's like it's a work in progress. It is not a product which we are, but then at every step, we are trying to look into it, reflect on it, and move back and move forward. So it's like a iterative process, and that's how we are trying to work around. Thank you so much. And I think that really, it's like an everyday process and being reflective about it. I think people are talking so much about being culturally responsive, culturally effective practices in classroom is, I think, from where you are coming into picture and trying to put it together and involving, as rightly said, the parents together. They are the stakeholders together, and only it will happen when all of them work together. The ISP says the triangulation. So we need to have that triangulation together as working, then only we'll be able to see that measure. Thank you so much for that perspective and, putting it together on that measurement, because sometimes it becomes, yes, we are doing it, but value laden. But I believe sometimes it's also very important to put it in place in structure and decision making, because though we know it's mindset, but then even we require certain policies to put things in place to get it done.
You're right, Tannu. The last piece is that, see, learning is a journey. We all know it. I'm still learning.
Yes.
Yeah. As educators, are we creating curious and confident minds,
Yes.
right? And enabling them on this journey of learning.
True.
That's the measure of success for me.
That's the
It's
measure
not
of
about
success.
grades or whatever. Are we enabling this beautiful journey of creating curious and confident minds
Yes.
to continue learning for a lifetime?
Yes. Are they in good struggle all the time is what you're trying to say, not in drowning is what you're trying to say.
Oh,
They should
bad
be in good
struggles are
struggle.
also okay.
Okay, thank you so much for this perspective. For Sreela ma'am and Deepak sir, there's this one question which is stuck in my mind, and after having all those conversation, and you are directly, for both of you, it's almost the same question. On a random day, okay, on a random day, I'll first go with Deepak sir and then Sreela ma'am, because this is two schools in two different places. On a random day, when I enter into your school, uh, how will your school, what will I see in that school that will show that it is culturally rooted and globally, global curriculum and globally minded? If I enter into the school, or any person who has not seen the school and just enters into the school and just get that vibe, yes, this is, wow, this school is culturally rooted, but still so globally minded. And the ambassadors of this school students will be like this. Deepak sir, I'll begin with you first. Sir, you got to unmute yourself, sir. 1 minute.
Done.
Yeah.
So we start the day with a namaste. I stand at the gate and welcome all my children into the campus as they get off the buses. and I do namaste with my tilak on every day morning. So that shows that we are culturally rooted, and we are not going to be just because we are international school and we have to follow only the international standards. We may in different standards is okay, but the culture and the traditions. But when we also on certain days we are in our traditional clothing, and when they move in, there is a music playing. So the music is as per the current festivals. So when it was Diwali, so it was all on Diwali and Ram, the music was playing. When it was Children's Day, then we are playing some Children's Day music. Now it's going to be Christmas, so we're going to now we have started with the jingle bells and the Christmas carols. So we start playing the music as the children are entering the school. And when they enter the school, you would see a lot of freedom and a lot of different corners and places where children do different activities, which shows that it's a global curriculum. They're not sitting down into their places and just doing what is told by the teacher. They have the classrooms are collaborative classrooms. Of course, the walls are talking, the uh, corridors are talking. So everywhere there's something happening, which shows that it's not only chalk and talk method. It's a global curriculum which is happening all around. So these are the two things that we combine, and we see that it's all. And then you will see children not only sitting on the desk and chair on the chairs; they sit on the floor. So it's all again the traditional ways and the global curriculum.
That's wonderful. You have just given, envision. I could envision that, the students are playing in one place and you're still collaborating in one place and thinking around here, but still rooted over here with those music on and things like. Thank you so much. This was quite fascinating. And given an opportunity, I would just love to come to school once. And now, Sreela ma'am, now though I have traveled to Trichy only once. That's also training. So there are many people over here who has not seen the Trichy campus. Now, since you always whenever we have a conversation, you always talk about this. How Trichy is culturally rooted and globally minded, and that's the philosophy also, and one of the mottos with which you. So, what will be the vibe now in the Trichy campus when any random person enters the campus?
Thank you so much, Tanu, for that similar question. But I do have similar lines as Deepak sir said. Um, Yes, the campus itself is a serene place where when you enter, you look all like whatever is Tamil Nadu is all there inside the campus. It's nowhere built up. And thank you to Shiv sir's visionary approach in that. As he calls Trichy campus is one of the resort sort of place actually. So it's very calm and serene where the local visibility is there. Local cultural visibility is already evident. That is one thing. Why I always mention that Trichy has got that cultural and traditional aspect always alive is because as a place, Tiruchirappalli has got multicultural people, as residents. People from Sri Lanka, Singapore and Malaysian, expatriate people, those who are working into IT sectors, coming back after a particular number of years and all. So children whom we get are all from multicultural background inside. But yet, why they are coming back is all because they want the traditional learning setup for their international learning also. So the setup should be somewhere traditional, but they should do international curricula is what parents demand more. So our campus resonates that value when you see that as Shiv sir rightly said that we have a mix of teachers from all horizons, but at the same time more in number is all local ones. Those who have got wonderful teaching experiences and learning experiences, yet ready to learn and expand and explore. That kind of a teaching fraternity you will see welcoming you any day. So that is one advantage, and that speaking language there. Second, we are very clear in terms of not forgetting that Tamil Nadu has that basic Tamil attributes which parents or the community would love to see and reflect in all zones. So whether it is an assembly, compulsorily every event, all being starting with Tamil Tarvarthas as a compulsory thing. We never deter from that fact. Picking up any occasion, any celebration, you will always see the arrangements are all attuned to something which is related to Tamil Nadu, yet it has a global tone. Might be everything is spoken in English, but they will have those basic touch to the local language and culture. So children are well aware of what are the cultural aspects of the place, how their grandparents have built up something which is related to traditional values. Children are well aware of that, and we try to nurture that more and more, so that the community also value that what we are doing is culturally rooted, and yet it is global in terms of exposure. So that is there in the environment altogether. And again, just to add to what Sir mentioned, Deepak Sir mentioned, whenever they do plays or something. So we did have this annual day concepts, and also last year we did something called Deshantaram. It itself stand true to what you are actually talking today. You go across globe, you travel across the globe, yet you have to come back one day, because inside you there is always that the local person, where you grew up, those traditions and the culture, it always calls you back. So we do bring up things which children have to learn from one way or the other, whether it is classroom learning or whether it is through events and celebrations. Everything will celebrate, but at the same time not deterring from the basic values. So we did celebrate Halloween, but made sure that in all the classrooms there was a compulsory line going on. Please don't talk about the dead walking back, or the concept is not about always not about dead walking back. So here it might not be accepted. So we turned it into the harvest season and the stories related to harvesting, for where it all started in the West. So those elements were transpired into the classroom stories, but not exactly about the deads coming back and there is a war coming in. So
Yes.
wherever we can change the perspective and tell our children that it is existing in our own roots also, and we are just seeing some other aspects globally, that we make sure that we tell them. So if Diwali is celebrated, we will tell them that Diwali is also celebrated as in light festival or lantern festival in multiple countries. So to pick up as in Germany or China, all of them, how they do that. Magar Sankranti we celebrate as in, others celebrate as kite festival. So all of them have got some cultural roots here to touch, and we don't forget to ensure that all classrooms resonate that traditional values, and that anybody walking inside Trichy campus can sense that. How do you visibly see that in everyday basis? I'm not sure, but one can sense it if you spend a day with us. That I can assure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sreela ma'am. Thank you so much, Deepak sir. We are almost towards the end, but it was a wonderful, wonderful conversation to have on this. And then to have that perspective, how important is the mindset, and yet how important is to have those strategic decision making, so that we can put it all together and make sure that the school, the students, the learners who are ambassadors of our school take pride in our culture, but yet they are problem solvers and critical thinkers to be the global citizen, is what we are trying to put together. And thank you very much for having, both of you. And I think Shiv's, this Mr. Philip had some commitments, so he said he couldn't, continue further. And I think with Shiv sir, we had some internet issues. But having said that, it was a wonderful conversation with everybody. And thank you, participants, for being with us. And we'll see you at 1:30. It's, we're going to have a lunch break. And thank you, Mr. Deepak, for, taking out the time and, being with us and sharing your views, and wonderfully. And we would love to be coming to your school. And thank you, Sheila ma'am. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Deepak sir. It was a great experience to even listen to you once. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Yeah, he just left right now. Thank you so much.